You're addicted to negative thoughts. Quit this pattern to heal your inner child. You ever just catch yourself? It's late, the house is quiet, and you're replaying that one awkward thing you said at a party 3 weeks ago. You feel your cheeks flush all over again. At the same time, a part of your mind is anxiously rehearsing tomorrow's meeting, imagining all the ways it could go wrong. And layered on top of that is a dull, persistent ache of self-criticism for not getting more done today, for not being better. Here's the wild part. You're not broken. You're not uniquely messed up, you're just addicted. But not to what you think. Most people live their entire lives without realizing how deeply addicted they are to their own negative thoughts. And I mean literally, chemically addicted. Your brain is getting a familiar, albeit painful, chemical hit every single time it spirals into that well-worn doom loop of worry, regret, and self-criticism. Let this sink in because it's going to blow your mind. Research suggests that around 80% of your daily thoughts are negative. 80%. And to make it worse, a staggering 95% of them are the exact same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before that. You're essentially running the same sad black and white movie in your head on repeat, day after day, and then wondering why you feel so stuck, so drained, so grey. But here's where everything changes. Once you understand the hidden mechanics of how this addiction actually works, why your brain craves the very thoughts that hurt you, you will never see your own mind the same way again. And more importantly, you will finally hold the map that shows you how to quit. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is about healing the very root of the pain. This is about finally meeting and healing your inner child. The biology of negativity, why pain sticks and joy slips away. Let's talk about something they don't teach you in school. Your brain, the most sophisticated instrument in the known universe, is literally hardwired to be a negativity magnet. Think about it. When was the last time you got 10 compliments and 1 piece of criticism? Which one did you obsess over for the rest of the day? Which one did you replay in your mind before you fell asleep? Yeah, exactly. That's not a character flaw, that's your biology. Scientists call this the negativity bias. It's a primitive survival mechanism that makes your brain act like Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good ones. Everything painful, threatening, or problematic sticks with incredible force. Everything pleasant, joyful, or positive slides right off. Your ancestors needed this to survive. The cave woman who obsessed over the sound of a rustling bush was more likely to live than the one who blissfully ignored it, assuming it was just the wind. Her hypervigilance kept her alive. But now, thousands of years later, you're treating your boss's neutral email tone like it's a saber-toothed tiger lurking in the shadows. Your ancient programming is running on a modern operating system, and it's causing constant systemic crashes. Here's what's actually happening in your head. You have these things called cognitive distortions. Think of them as funhouse mirrors for your reality. They take perfectly normal, neutral situations and twist them into evidence for your deepest fears. You know that voice that says, "I messed up this one presentation, so I'm a total failure at my job." That's classic all-or-nothing thinking. Or how about when your mind immediately leaps to the worst possible conclusion the moment there's any uncertainty? He hasn't texted back in an hour, he must be losing interest. Hello, catastrophizing. The problem isn't that you have these thoughts, everyone does. The problem is that you've been unintentionally feeding them, practicing them, for so long that they've become your brain's default setting. Every time you replay a worry, every time you rehearse an old argument, every time you spiral down the rabbit hole of what if, you are literally strengthening those neural pathways. You are carving them deeper. It's like you've been walking the same path through a grassy field for years. At first it was just a faint trail, but now there's a deep, muddy rut that your mind automatically, effortlessly falls into. But here is the single most important thing you need to hear, and it changes everything. Those ruts are not permanent. The path is not your destiny. You have the power to create a new one. The wounded child and the shadow of the past. A Jungian perspective. To truly understand the root of this addiction, we have to go deeper than just brain chemistry. We need to travel back in time to a place inside of you that the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung called the inner child. Inside every woman, no matter how successful, capable, or put together she appears on the outside, lives the little girl she once was. She holds all your wonder, your creativity, your joy. But she also holds all of your wounds. Every time that little girl felt unseen, unheard, rejected, criticized, or emotionally abandoned, that pain didn't just disappear. A part of her became frozen in time, forever holding that hurt. Jung would say that many of our most persistent negative thought patterns are, in fact, the desperate, misguided survival strategies of this wounded inner child. That constant nagging worry that consumes your mind, that's your inner child, who once felt unsafe and unprotected, trying desperately to anticipate and control every possible outcome to prevent herself from ever being hurt that way again. That relentless, brutal inner critic that narrates your every move, that is the internalized voice of a critical parent, a harsh teacher, or a society that told her she wasn't good enough. She adopted that voice, believing that if she punished herself first, maybe the outside world wouldn't. It's a heartbreaking attempt to protect herself by becoming her own abuser. These unhealed wounds, according to Jung, form what he called the shadow. The shadow is the part of our psyche where we push everything we can't accept about ourselves, our fears, our insecurities, our unacceptable emotions. And your negative thoughts thrive in this darkness. They are the echoes of the toxic messages you absorbed as a child. You're too sensitive. You're a burden. Don't be dramatic. You're not smart enough. Your brain doesn't just think these negative thoughts. It gets rewarded for them. This sounds completely backwards, but stick with me, because this is the core of the addiction. When you ruminate, when you chew on a painful memory or a future worry like a piece of mental gum that's long lost its flavor, your brain thinks it's helping. It's an act of misguided self-care. Your mind says, if I keep thinking about this pain, I won't forget the lesson. If I keep analyzing what went wrong, maybe I can control what happens next time. It's your inner child saying, don't worry, I've got this handled. I'll just think about it 30 more times to make sure we're prepared for the worst. The cruel, devastating irony is that all that thinking about the problem becomes the problem. One researcher put it perfectly. We counterintuitively cling to our suffering as a way of taking care of ourselves. We hold on to our pain, paradoxically, trying to figure out how to let it go. And this is where the chemical addiction piece gets real. Every time you spiral, your body releases stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline. It's the fight or flight chemical cocktail. Over years, your system gets used to running on this low-grade or high-grade hum of anxiety. Subconsciously, you start to seek out that familiar buzz of worry and anger. It feels normal. It feels, in a strange way, like home. You know what's truly wild? Many people actually feel uncomfortable when their mind is calm. Peace feels suspicious. Silence feels threatening. Anxiety becomes a twisted kind of comfort zone simply because it's so familiar. But here is the promise that changes everything. If your brain learned to be negative, it can learn to be positive. The same incredible power of neuroplasticity that got you stuck is the very power that will set you free. Breaking the Cycle, a practical guide to healing your inner child. So how do you quit an addiction you didn't even know you had? And more importantly, how do you do it in a way that finally brings healing to that little girl inside you who is at the center of it all? Step 1. Become the compassionate observer. Catch yourself in the act. Most of your negative thinking happens on autopilot. It's the background music of your life, playing for so long you've stopped hearing it. Your first, most powerful act of rebellion is to simply start noticing. When you catch yourself spiraling, don't judge it. Don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. Just gently, compassionately, notice. Say to yourself, oh, there's that worry loop again. Or, the inner critic is on her soapbox. Treat it like spotting a cloud in the sky. It's there, you see it, but it is not you. This simple act of noticing creates a tiny, precious gap of space between you, the observer, and the thought. In that gap, your freedom is born. Step 2. Have a gentle dialogue with your thoughts, the 3-question rewire. Here is a technique that literally rewires your brain. When you catch a negative thought, instead of either believing it or fighting it, get curious. Ask it 3 gentle questions. Is this thought 100% based on facts, or is it based on a feeling? Your feelings are valid, but they are not always fact. The feeling that you're going to fail doesn't make failure a fact. Would I ever speak to a dear friend this harshly in the same situation? The answer is almost always no. You would offer a friend compassion, perspective, and encouragement. This question exposes the cruel double standard of your inner critic. What is one small piece of evidence from my life that contradicts this belief? That voice saying, "I'll never get this right." Really? Never in your entire future? Can you think of one time you made a mistake and then eventually figured it out? This question breaks the all-or-nothing spell. Step 3. Actively install the positive, the 15-second saver. You don't just stop the negative, you must actively, consciously install the positive. Remember, your brain is Teflon for good experiences. You have to consciously override that programming. When something nice happens, no matter how tiny, the taste of your morning coffee, a kind word from a colleague, the warmth of the sun on your skin pores, for just 15 extra seconds, consciously savor it. Feel it in your body. What does that warmth feel like? What does that kindness feel like? Those 15 seconds are the neurological equivalent of hitting save on a document. It tells your brain, this matters. Transfer this feeling from short-term to long-term memory. You are actively building a library of positive experiences for your brain to draw upon. Step 4. The brain dump. Take out the mental trash. I want you to try this tonight. Take a piece of paper and for 10 minutes just write, brain dump everything that's bothering you. Don't worry about grammar or making it make sense. This is for your eyes only. Pour all the anxiety, the anger, the resentment onto the page. Studies on expressive writing show that people who do this have stronger immune systems, make fewer visits to the doctor, and report significantly lower levels of depression and anxiety. Why? Because you're taking the chaotic, swirling trash out of your mind and putting it somewhere else. Once it's on the paper, your brain doesn't have to carry the burden of holding on to it 24/7. It gives you relief. Step 5. Reparent your inner child, the self-compassion piece that changes everything. This is the heart of it all. This is the step that brings true, deep healing. Stop being such a harsh judge of your own mind. That inner critic. You wouldn't let a stranger talk to you that way. So why do you let that voice live in your head rent-free? When you catch yourself in self-attack mode, I want you to pause. Close your eyes. And in your mind's eye, picture yourself as a little girl at the age when you felt most vulnerable. Now, see your current adult self walking into the room. Go to her, kneel down, and say the words to her that she needed to hear back then. I see you. This is not your fault. You are so loved. You are safe now. I'm here and I will protect you. This is what it means to reparent yourself. It's you, the wise, compassionate adult you are today, giving your inner child the unconditional love and safety she never received. This practice of active imagination, as Jung called it, is a profound bridge to your own subconscious, allowing you to heal the wounds at their source. You are not weak for having negative thoughts. You are not broken for feeling anxious. You are a human being carrying around a brain that is simply doing what it evolved to do. It's just not serving you anymore. The goal isn't to never have a negative thought again. That's like trying to never feel hungry. The goal is to have a negative thought arise and to be able to look at it, nod, and not automatically believe it or get swept away by it. And it gets easier. I promise you it gets so much easier. At first it takes conscious effort, but every time you choose the more compassionate response, you are physically building new, healthier pathways in your brain. Eventually, self-kindness starts to feel as automatic as self-criticism once did. When you stop feeding this addiction, you don't just feel better mentally. Your physical health improves, your relationships deepen, your work flows more easily. All that vast mental energy you were spending on your internal doom loops is now free. Free to create, to connect, to love, to actually live your life. So here is my invitation to you. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now. Pick just one technique we've talked about. Maybe it's just noticing your thoughts without judgment. Maybe it's the 15-second saver. Maybe it's writing down what's on your mind tonight before you go to sleep. Try it for just 3 days. And pay attention. Pay attention to the subtle shifts, the moments of quiet the newfound space in your own mind. You need to understand this right now, deep in your bones. You are not your thoughts. You have thoughts, but you are the one observing them. You are the vast, silent sky, and the thoughts are just clouds passing through. That negative voice in your head, it's not the truth of who you are, it's just old, outdated programming. You've been running version 1.0 of your mental software for far too long. It's time for an upgrade. Your mind is not broken. It has just been practicing the wrong thing. Today is the day you begin to practice something better. You are not weird for wanting to feel good in your own head. You're just human. And we humans, we are capable of the most incredible change. Your healing is not only possible, it is your birthright.